Hello and welcome to another Crusader Kings free video. Today we're going to be looking at the education screen photo. This is the only so far leaked photo of it, well not leaked, released I should say. And I'm going to be going through some feature requests later. So you see here you have 5 different categories which all relate to the 5 different educational stats. You have diplomacy, martial, economic, or stewardship, intrigue, and learning. And you see here there are smaller numbers. These numbers, I believe, refer to the perks per section for tree. You see here there's 2, here there's 5, here there's 5. So this character, let's call her Cersei. She's in red, she's got golden hair. She can be Cersei. There are certain trees you can go down, which I'm sure affect your traits in different ways. They give you hit and run. This probably gives you a sort of retreat speed. Oh yeah, it's after organized retreat, so of course. Which also gives me the belief that there are potential ways to interact with combat more hands-on, which would be terrific. It's a great way to have a balanced approach. In Crusader Kings 2, you had, is it 10 focuses to choose from at first, and then it shrinks down to 5 when they hit the age of about 12. So you're sort of stuck on the route you want to educate your children, and you tend to see that in characters. Characters tend to have a higher skill than the rest in one particular area. Whereas if you look at the Game of Thrones mod, the characters who exist in the game originally, like your Tywin, your Peter Baelish, they have a very balanced approach. This looks like it will make that more likely, which is more accurate, I guess, historically. Some poorer people may have only focused on one particular area, but highborn individuals would have been able to learn across the board, which I think is quite a terrific thing. But what I'm hoping here is that you can affect the experience. You see here, this here gives experience, martial experience 30 per month. This is the amount of experience required to gain a perk, it would seem, and you need 1,000. So 30 per month. That's 90 every 3 months, so 90 times 4 is 360 a year. So 1 perk per 3 years. That seems quite long, considering she already has 12, and she looks about 12. So I guess there are events or educational focuses by the tutor. I'm sure there will be a guardian to help speed things up a bit. Maybe if you invest in better education, this might be a default amount. And if you invest, you might get extra points and such. And living experiences, maybe you get sent in as a ward in some sort of battle or such, no help with your martial education. But this looks terrific. This looks like you'll be able to really get in depth and have a great role-playing experience with raising kids. Maybe even not only your own kids, maybe you can do this with every courtier. I think it might get a bit tedious if you have to do this with every courtier. I hope there is a automation way. Maybe you can just select one and leave your uncle's grandson to it and see how he ends up. But if you really want to get involved and play at speed 1 and take things slow and serious, which some people do, I have done that before in the past. I prefer it a little bit faster, but this gives you the option to be more roleplay focused, which I believe is what the devs have said about the game. So as for this, I think this looks terrific. I really do. You have different ways you can focus here. She could either focus in chivalry, authority, which appears to be locked, and then you have strategy, which is her current focus. Authority, the lock might just mean authority. It might not mean that it's actually locked, because a lock and key, that's quite authoritarian. Lock you up in jail and all that. You have your different focus trees, which I'm sure lead to different perks. There'll probably be guides in the future. Oh, Kingsguard. I like the sound of that, because that does lead into one of my future requests. This picture leads into two of my feature requests. One would be real-time aging, which might be very likely. She does not look like an infant. Another one would be... where did I write it? More honorary titles. So let's actually move on to feature requests. We've covered this quite well. I've gone in depth with everything going on with this. I do have a few feature requests. One would be real-time location of your character on the map. See, if you're playing Crusader Kings 2, you hover over your character's portrait. It says currently residing here. You can, however, teleport. I can make myself a general in Africa, and then I can make myself a general in north of Scotland the next day. I prefer the European Universalis for diplomatic way of things, where there's a time between locations. The further away you are, the longer it takes to get back. I would like a real-time location of the characters on the map. I think that'd be very immersive and easy to roleplay. Maybe even if it was something that could be turned on and off, because you have your options before you start a game. So that's something I would like to at least be an option. Another one is more honorary titles with a lot more ways. Currently, honorary titles don't really do much. In the Game of Thrones mod for Crusader Kings 2, which I'll refer to a lot, you can have things like guards, who if you are in battle, they will come out and they will protect you. Other than that, there's not really anything, but the two I have written down that I think would be terrific are Bodyguards and Diplomats. I think having Diplomats in the game would be a nice way of being able to add to it. More honorary titles, more involvement with more characters. I think that'll enrich the world quite a bit. Currently, you can just send out diplomacy requests wherever the hell you want. I think if you had diplomats, depending on your rank, maybe if you're a count, you can have, or baron, you can have 1, count, you can have 2, duchy 3, king 4, emperor 5, and so forth. And then you can choose from there your best diplomatically skilled individuals, and they can go off, and it might affect the outcome if you're asking for trade deals, if that's something that's in the game, because that's another thing I would like was a more immersive economy and food mechanics. I'd very much like food mechanics. The necessity to keep your population fed was it was a very important thing in medieval life. It happened a lot of times when a king would neglect such affairs and people would starve, and then they would rise up and overthrow the individual. So I think food mechanics, so that you have to invest in farm. If your land gets ravaged after a war, it's going to be harder to feed people. Your population might decline. I think that would be very immersive to the world and enrich. And the more hardcore, older Paradox fan base would appreciate such a mechanic. But again, maybe that could be something that's turned off in options before the game. Like currently, you can edit education costs and such like that. Maybe if that's an option, you can turn that on and off. I'm not sure. An economy as well. If there's a way to have build trade buildings in your area where you can, depending on what land you're on, maybe you can have mines which lead to cheaper materials for war. You can have horse breeding, which cheaper horses, and then maybe you can have trade deals with alliances where it would affect them having something for cheaper, but then you get an income. Something like that I think would be absolutely terrific in the game. Another mechanic I would appreciate added to the game is actually slavery. Slavery played a big part in the world back in the Dark Ages, the medieval era, and what the world developed into after that. I think it would be great. Something not quite the same as Imperator's slavery, not quite the same as Crusader Kings Game of Thrones slavery, but something where you can enslave people and it can affect output, but also input. You'd obviously use more food if the food is a mechanic. Then you would have more output on a resource you try to develop. They might not fight so well, but you can force them on the front lines. Maybe they break a lot easier. Maybe they can even turn against you if you don't keep everything in line. Again, it's more immersive and world-building ideas I'm putting in here. Another one would be real-time aging. It's quite something in Crusader Kings where you can go from being 0 years old to 15 years old, and you look the exact same, and then suddenly you have a beard. I think real-time aging would be a mechanic that they can perhaps do. They do something similar in Imperator. If they could do it a bit more in depth, maybe yearly. Not real-time as in every second, but yearly, and then include scars if you have a bad battle or something like that. I think that'd be terrific. As for that, that's the only mechanics I have in mind at the moment. But there's also other things to talk about. Paradox has released a statement regarding the potential censorship, where they have neither denied or confirmed said censorship, but the statement's quite up in the air. It just says that the team will decide what will be appropriate for the game and such, and there was a bit of a miscommunication, which you can take that how you want. I don't want to try and be a conspiracy theorist here, but Paradox has been muting and banning people on their Twitch chat and their Paradox forums for saying there's vault. This seems like it's a PR move to try and calm the outrage, which was very apparent. So either the journalist flat out lied, and Paradox is not telling us that, or there was a miscommunication, which genuinely does happen sometimes, where there still is a potential issue, because you can't completely miscommunicate something like that. There has to be a bit of leeway. Something would have had to be said to be miscommunicated anyway. Or it was a genuine statement that they will remove something from the game and they're now trying to backpedal, which I hope they are trying to backpedal. Backpedaling on such a decision would be the right way to go. But we don't know. Everything's speculation. Until Paradox puts out an actual black or white statement, we don't exactly know what's happening behind the scenes. But I don't want to dwell on that all the time. It needed to be said. I felt like I said some things that need to be said in the industry, because a lot of games have been affected negatively by such things. But we'll see. The game won't be out for a very long time. I'm sure Paradox will listen to the player base on feature requests and what they think of the game. So keep looking for updates and voice your opinions on what you like, what you dislike, and the best, or not best, but most agreed upon opinions will rise to the top, and hopefully Paradox will get an eye on that. So if you like any of the feature requests I've said today, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. I'll try to reply to most people again, like I did on my previous video, despite the many thousands of views. I was very happy to see how that was received. And I'll continue to give out updates on Crusader Kings 3 whenever I see things. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you want to support the channel even further, there is a Discord link down below. You can join us on the server. We have many multiplayers very often. Or there's a Patreon link as well, if you want to send some shekels my way. You want to take the economic focus. I'll see you guys there. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.